Hey marketing leader, what you've been up to? Today, I'm bringing you another video, and actually it's a kind of a follow-up to the previous video where we touched on user testing. And if you're watching our videos, if you consume them daily, I hope, then you will know that I am a big fan of user tests, especially moderated user tests. They're my favorite, they're fantastic, and I've moderated hundreds of them here at NerdCow. So today I wanted to explore it a bit and help you make the most out of those, because they're not cheap, they're not the easiest to facilitate and organize. So I want to give you tips and things that I've learned from hundreds of them that will give you what you're really looking for. And that feedback, that good feedback, not crap feedback. We're looking for good feedback that you can actually take an action right away. Without further ado, let's drop into it. But hold on. You know what's coming. Okay, let's do the summary first. Okay, you will want to know if this video is of any interest to you first, right? Today, we'll talk about not introducing bias to your line of questioning, not leading the user tester on. You will want to keep all the questions open-ended. You will really want to focus on their facial expressions, their moans, groans, and everything around it. Just keep watching. If your user tester goes on a tangent, interrupt them. You're paying them for their time. Their time is limited, and tangent doesn't help. Get back to the point. If they do anything that you didn't expect, interrupt. Again, I know, sorry, you have to do it. Interrupt it and follow up immediately. Whatever is the subject of those tests, you should keep it simple. It's just a prototype. And finally, big question, how many users? Well, between 3 and 5. Right, let's go through those 8 rules for good user testing. First one is to avoid introducing any bias. And I am guilty of it 100%. If you follow NerdCow closely, you will know I design things. And you know what it means. When you facilitate user tests and you test the thing that you actually designed, the prototype itself, and they shit on it, it doesn't feel great. Let me say it out loud right away. You get into this defensive mode about it, and you try to, you almost want to jump out of their screen and shake them and tell them that's not how it's meant to be used. It doesn't help. Look, they're there to help you. So my first tip would be to get someone else to facilitate the tests. But if you are a small team just like we are, and the designer does the tests as well, so they can get direct feedback from the tester rather than from someone else's interpretation of that feedback, you'll want to make sure you don't introduce that bias, and you have to hold off all those negative thoughts, and you should never take it personally. Try it. It's hard. You will have to. No other way around it. Next is do not lead them on. And what it means is, don't pull their tongue and drill them on the subject until you get an answer you were looking for. Don't do that. Don't also put ideas in their head. If you watch any kind of case from lawyers, any kind of battle in a court, you'll know what leading means. It's basically what you shouldn't do. That's what I'm saying. Let them roam freely around the prototype. Let them explore, make mistakes. That's what you need. You need to spot those mistakes. So let them make those mistakes and learn from it. Just leave them to their own devices. But if you need to ask a question, keep those questions open-ended. Instead of saying, do you like it, which often happened at the beginning of my facilitating career, you would want to ask, how do you feel about it? Now, that is a completely different question, but actually you're asking about the same thing, although you're not letting them answer it easily and just move on. You're making them think. That's what you want. You don't want yes and no. You want action and elaborated response that provides meaningful feedback to you and your team. Keep those questions open-ended, and if you're interested in frequent questions that we ask, those like the one I just said, then leave me a comment and we'll record another video with a set of those questions that we find the most useful during those tests. You will always have to be on your toes when it comes to watching their facial expressions and those impulses. These are little gems that you always need to be on the lookout for. So when they see a color, when they read a paragraph, even, in their head, under the breath, just see how they react. What's the initial reaction? Not what they say out loud. What came before it is important, because at the end of the day, they may assume that you did design it, actually, even though you tell them at the beginning of the test, right, that you didn't. Do that if you're not doing it yet. They might assume that you've designed it. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They'd be like a bit, ambiguous about it. But the facial expressions, those emotions on faces, the tempo of speaking and their mouse pointer movement, that just says it all. Really, it does. And you might not notice those things at the beginning, but as you get better at interviewing people, you will see those little things that sell their intentions, sell their initial thoughts, and exposes everything, really. Don't worry about it, but just keep that in mind. There have been many opportunities and occasions, actually, when people went off on a tangent. And what I mean by that, they kept telling me what they had for dinner, and something reminded them of, like their family gathering or their holiday, or previous work placement, project that they did before in their life. That's great, but that's not what we're paying them for. You have to interrupt them. Say sorry, apologize, whatever. However you want to handle it. Be as delicate as you like, but you have to be the moderator, and you have to appreciate their time, your time, and your client's time. So if you are moderating those user tests and someone just talks about stuff that's irrelevant, and it's irrelevant because it has nothing to do with the website and what they're looking at right now, you have to interrupt and say, can we get back to the point, please? That's the only option to make the most out of those interviews. And it's fine. Some people feel stressed when they're being interviewed. I mean, we are just humans, and it's fine if we connect two dots at some point at brain and you want to, we want to share it right away. It's okay. So I don't say be rude about it. Tell them how it is. They know what they afford in that room. What's their role? So I'm sure they'll be fine. It's okay. Just be human about it. Interrupt, carry on. But if they carry on and whatever they do is not what you expected, maybe they keep walking around the same page, or they completely missed one of the key features of your prototype that you really hope to get their thoughts on, maybe it's a good point to say, hey, 1 second, why do you think you missed that? Or why did you not interact with that thing? Or how do you feel about that thing? Maybe they're just gonna say, oh, it's just irrelevant. Okay, well, easy, that saved my time. Tick, removed. Okay, done, simple. So that's how you test. You have to stay vigilant, read those emotions, read those facial expressions, but also watch what's happening on their screen, because sometimes they will just scroll the whole thing down and be like, oh, why did you do that? And they would say, oh, because I don't know what I'm looking at. Oh, okay, well, that's a biggie. Just keep watching, keep interrupting, and be in control of that session without, letting them know that you control the session, if you know what I mean. One mistake that we used to make here at NerdCow is that we were making those prototypes, website prototypes in our case, too complicated, way too complicated. They would be as beautiful as they can be. We built them in one day, so be mindful of that. But we'll put all those colors, pick fonts, create a basic design system even for them. Like, wow. But what it does, it creates extra layer of distraction. Those user tests are fantastic for testing functional side to the website. So in order to test user experience, the user journey, and all of that important stuff, I'm not saying that aesthetics are not important, they're just not on the priority list. That high at least, right? If you remove all those colors, now we're talking, because all they have to go on is those black and white squares, circles, basic information, which removes the need to interpret all those colors and have a think, oh, I really don't like that pink. It doesn't matter. To you as a user tester, that is after creating the most bulletproof blueprint for the website, this is not important, because colors, fonts, all of that should be dictated by your brand guideline, which is hopefully already researched and tested. So by the time we get to the website point, all we want to know is if people understand the messaging, if they can navigate, if they can search, if they can read, find it interesting, if we can keep them around for enough time to engage with them somehow. If you remove the colors, the visual layer, that is exactly where you find pieces of information that you need to build a successful and winning website. Keep that in mind next time you build any prototype. Keep it simple. To wrap it up, one final thought. If you are asking yourself how many users you should recruit for those user tests, well, if you're talking about moderated user tests, between 3 and 5 is absolutely enough. The reason why you don't go below 3 is because it's difficult to find patterns. So if you have 2 people testing and one say ping is good, the other one says ping is bad, that's hardly a bad pattern. But if you have 4 testers and 3 of them says that ping is bad, well, maybe there's something to it. I know I keep holding to that ping example, but it can be said about anything: image, organization of information, like navigation, like anything at all. The more people you have, the more patterns you can identify. But going beyond 5 user testers, it just diminishes results, diminishes the investment. It's just not worth your time and money. Keep it between 3 and 5. And as for other things, surveys, polls, any kind of unmoderated tests maybe, that number probably goes up to about 50. I think that's just an average. That's what we do here at NerdCow, and we had tremendous success with this. So that's why I'm recommending that you do. But obviously, it might be different for you based on your circumstances and the thing you test. You'll get better as you keep doing it every now and then. Just get into it and learn from mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. Trust me. That's it from me. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you have any thoughts at all about these things, and maybe there is a 9th tip that you could share with me to make user tests even better, let me know. Comments, LinkedIn, however you like. Reach out to us. And for now, I wish you good luck with your new website or fixing existing website. And see you later. Bye-bye.